didn't want to leave you guys on a crazy weekend cliffhanger. I needed to get that information out as soon as possible. Obviously, you can probably see that I received some information, a communication, which answered a lot of questions that the public has had about the story, or rather the non-story that we are getting from the feds, the push that Tyler Robinson is this lone shooter, which they're trying to establish as a fact. Some of the burning questions that we had, okay, well, if he turned himself in, how did he also not confess? I now have the answers to that. The main point, the reason why this information came to me, is because there's a narrative being spun right now by the media that Tyler Robinson is or was suicidal. That is not true. And that's a very scary thing when suddenly they're saying he's suicidal and, you know, he's in solitary, and he's not suicidal. So that was the reason why this information urgently came to me. Obviously, I know a lot more, and I'm going to share it with you guys on Monday. I just wanted to vet some of the things that I heard, ask some more questions from people that would know, and just to make sure everything I say is above board. And obviously this lead led to more leads, and I want to give people a chance to respond. This is crazy. Nothing more that I can say. This is very serious. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that what we are being told has gone on is just not so. And this is really kind of going to begin, I think, to answer a lot of questions and many more questions that need to be asked. So I just wanted to let you know that what they're telling us about him being suicidal is not true.
I was a fan of Candace Owens for the last 3 years consistently, and I've watched every one of her independent episodes until September 11th happened. She does a memorial video tribute to her friend Charlie Kirk, but she does a subsequent 9 more videos on the investigation into Tyler James Robinson, the person who is responsible for assassinating Charlie Kirk. And I can get into every single little semantic because I have watched every single one of them. And once my eyes opened, my eyes opened. Candace Owens is a right-wing American conservative commentator. She did work with the Daily Wire until she lost her job because there was differences in her opinion on Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, Zionists, and Jewish Americans. She was let go. She was unable to monetize on YouTube for close to a year, but she then goes independent. Up until that point, Candace Owens herself was a mainstream media figurehead. She was everywhere. She was being promoted everywhere. She was doing speaking engagements everywhere. She was all over YouTube on multiple different channels, including her content with the Daily Wire. She is married to a man from the UK named George Farmer, and he is worth over $250 million. Candace Owens herself is worth over $6 million, and she's projected to make over 7 figures just in her last 9 videos off of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, this only includes the first 5 videos out of 9 that she has done last week and this past week about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, not including her first tribute video, which is 10 total. After her first week and her first 5 videos, she is projected to make over 7 figures off of her website hits, memberships and subscriptions, merchandise sales, live gifts as it's streaming live, and then the ad revenue, plus the promotions and sponsorships on each video. The last 10 videos alone are allegedly making her close to $2 million, and they're all about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, I wouldn't go this far, putting her text messages with her and Charlie Kirk behind a paywall, or even things like this. But the thing that really opened my eyes is this right here. Of course, she's going through all the legal loopholes of not committing defamation by saying anybody's specific name. She does the whole they, them game. which allows her to throw every single conspiracy theory, lie, and BS made up story to the wall just to see what sticks. Because she's not actually defaming anybody, but she is making you think that she is saying particular names when she comes across other things and lumps them into one video, like the thing with the Hamptons and Bill Ackman, and talking about FBI Director Kash Patel, talking about Jewish American donors, talking about the nonprofit Turning Point USA, talking about Israel, talking about Israel's Prime Minister, elected Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, aka Bibi Netanyahu. Law enforcement lie. They're all corrupt. They're all bad. That's what she is constantly going on. But Utah law enforcement conducted their investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and his private friend, Kash Patel, who is now the FBI director, flew all the way there. And of course, the FBI worked alongside the Utah law enforcement to catch the person that is responsible for taking the life of Charlie Kirk. He not only had a private friendship with Kash Patel, he also had a business relationship with him. And she does say multiple times that the feds are corrupt, that they're lying, that this is a cover-up, that they're not telling the truth, that she demands answers to her questions. She demands full video footage and evidence. And that's just not the reality. People don't understand that in order to bring this person to trial appropriately, they're not going to release all of their forensic and circumstantial evidence. That's going to be held for a jury to specifically see. Otherwise, what that's going to do is possibly taint and bias a jury pool, and it could get his assassin off by either a mistrial, an acquittal, or a hung jury. Why would Candace Owens want that if she was a true friend to Charlie Kirk? Why would she want his assassin to go free? Why would she even want to taint that or entertain that possibility? What she is doing is fear-mongering. It is the action of deliberately arousing public fear or alarm about a particular issue. And when she started making insinuations that Utah has a beehive, a hexagonal beehive on their flag, and that she saw some underground Reddit page that had to do with bees, and it wasn't really bees, but it was bees, meaning alluding to something else like trafficking or child SA or child trafficking, alluding to the fact that this person probably didn't do it and it's all a big cover-up. Utah law enforcement are all corrupt and lying, and so is the FBI. She even says it. Fear-mongering is scaremongering, is alarmism. So what is the motivation and the tactic behind Candace Owens doing this? Monetization for herself. Preying on psychological biases. You ever wonder why she's so obsessed with psychiatry, with the CIA experiments into mind control? MK Ultra, why she's so obsessed with Sigmund Freud and all of these books about psychiatry? Because she's using psychiatry to play in your face. And I'm going to show you exactly how she does it, because once I seen it, I seen it. The dangers and ethical concerns. Using compelling narratives, conspiracy theories, storytelling, captivating stories, mystery, danger, hidden truths, similar to detective novels or scary movies, are very effective in capturing people's attentions. She's seen an over 500% increase in viewership and live watchers from her normal standard audience in all of the Charlie Kirk assassination videos, all 10 of them in the last 2 weeks. She's not going to stop, but it's not because of truth. What she's doing is further fueling mistrust in institutions, driving radicalization and violence, normalizing fringe ideas by creating content around fringe ideas. It gives the audience a false sense of legitimacy and belonging. Exploiting vulnerabilities and monopolizing public discourse. That is how you psychologically manipulate people, and that is a cult. Now, how can one further drive this kind of content? Through investigative documentaries, ethical journalism practices, accurate and factual presentation. If you're a fan of hers, I'm going to give you this one opportunity. Show me, email me one piece of real forensic, circumstantial, whether it be email, text message, proof to any of her conspiracy theories being at all founded or plausible. Because I've done my research since September 10th, and guess what? Every single one of them are open-ended with no conclusion. That's how conspiracy theories and lies work. If it's not true and it didn't happen and it didn't take place, it's very hard to prove that it didn't happen and it didn't take place because it just didn't. But this is the difference between a regular theory. A regular theory, you will have plausible evidence to suggest why you have come up with this theory, why you believe that it's plausible or true. Conspiracy theories play on your psychiatry, on your bias. It plays on your fear and your paranoia already. It not only lives, survives, but thrives off of that negativity of mistrust, misuse, and lies, things that aren't true and did not actually happen. Reporting on diverse viewpoints. She doesn't do that. But accurate and factual presentation. She mixes her conspiracy theories with her own personal hatred and bias for Jewish people, for Zionists, for Benjamin Netanyahu, for Israel, for their war actions. And she mixes that with things that are true and factual, like the fact that Charlie Kirk was running Turning Point USA, and he truly does have donors. That's true, yes. So you automatically see these little bits of truth that she is speaking about on other people or other things or other nonprofits, other speeches, other things that they might have said or done. And she uses that to say, see, look, now everything I'm saying subsequent or before this, all is lumped in with this truth. Once you see it, once you watch all of her content from beginning to end, once you see it, you will see it. It's no wonder why people think she is a psyop, because she's either a narcissist and a complete sociopath, or she really is a psyop, meaning that she allegedly is being paid by some foreign entity or domestic entity to purposely put out this kind of content to further cause more fear, division in the conservative movement. Also, notice how she went from pushing everybody to vote for Trump and then to vote for Trump again, and now she does not support Trump or his administration at all, because she now believes that he is being funded and backed by Zionists, which AKA to her, in her mind, means that America and the president is being controlled by Zionists. Therefore, America is currently being controlled by Zionists. And of course, we know she doesn't focus on solutions, because every single one of her content, since she has all of her conspiracy theories and investigations, since she's gone independent, even though she's still a mainstream media figurehead and she's in the 1% elite herself, she doesn't focus on this because this part here will not further drive the conspiracy theory further down the line for more videos on it. So she leaves them all unfinished, no conclusion, open-ended. And that's a problem, because Jeffrey Epstein, yeah, we know that there was many different investigations into Jeffrey Epstein, but Jeffrey Epstein, it's done and over with because he's no longer alive. Therefore, there is no conclusion. Her entire investigative series into Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein may have had his New York case overturned, but he hasn't had the other ones overturned, and he's still sitting behind bars today. So her investigations are not really investigations. What she's doing is already taking with the dirty lying. Remember, they're dirty. Remember, they're corrupt. They're all bad. The feds, law enforcement, she takes what they've already done. Their hard work, their due diligence, their cases, their case files, their evidence, even the person that's responsible takes that and does her own investigation with it's a circle. It's circular. The whole while she's making you think that she's deep diving into this investigation because she's going to prove that there is law enforcement and federal agent corruption, but she never does that. In fact, she tried so hard to push Harvey Weinstein into, well, you must have stepped on somebody else's toes, somebody bigger than you. Why can't you say who it is? And he says, I have no idea. If I did that, it's possible. Or is it more likely that he truly did abuse his power, which he has said many times that he has, and that he did cheat on his wife multiple times, and that he did inappropriately do things to many people, and that it's not a coincidence all these people have come forward with their experiences, with their stories, and was some of them looking for a big payout? Yeah, probably. When somebody that's worth over $300-400 million gets into any kind of trouble like that, we see everybody come out of the woodwork, whether they're telling the truth or lying. Irrelevant. But the conclusion is still the same. Harvey Weinstein is still behind bars. But the whole while, she's using what the dirty, corrupt, lying law enforcement and federal agents, what they have done, and trying to make you think that they are corrupt. So how can you use psychiatry to manipulate an audience through content, specifically on your website or YouTube? Create a sense of connection through authenticity, sharing your story, showing your personality, engaging with the community, foster a sense of belonging. It's us or them, good versus evil, good versus bad. It's us, the righteous, versus those demons. That is psychological manipulation, my friend. Because you don't have to feel like you belong in this community or be psychologically manipulated by anybody, even Candace Owens, to like her or like her content. She shouldn't have to do that to get an audience to know and trust in her and the truth, which tells you it's anything but. Know your audience, solve a problem. Now, she's really good at making you think she's solving problems, but like I said, show me one investigation that has been concluded or has been solved. None. Not since she's gone independent and hasn't been under mainstream media. Use storytelling. You have to use compelling narratives, and conspiracy theories are the most compelling narratives. There's no evidence and there's no proof for them. It's just hearsay. Creating intriguing titles and thumbnails. Evoke emotion ethically. Now that's very questionable because the way she's evoking emotions is very negatively through fear mongering and scaremongering. Employing social proof. Honestly. She does this really great. Positive testimonials. Other big content creators are agreeing with me. Creator collaborations. Audience shares, and it's always, let's get to the comment section, and the comment section is always blessing her, praising her, kissing her ass, or giving her a $500 live gift. Incorporate interactive elements. Oh, but she wouldn't use the dirty, lying, corrupt federal agents and all of their evidence, right? No, not her. Build credibility and consistency. Post regularly. Be transparent. But that's where she has a problem because she can't do this. She can't always show you. She shows you things, but she doesn't show you the proof. She makes you think she's showing you proof. But to blame the Utah law enforcement officials for being corrupt and this being a cover-up is blaming Charlie Kirk's own friend, Now FBI Director Kash Patel. And I just don't buy it. I don't believe it. Most law enforcement officers are good, decent human beings. And the same can be said for any career. Do you know how much corruption is in content on YouTube? How many YouTube creators are corrupt, lying, and covering up? There are bad chefs. There are bad drivers. There are bad people that work at grocery stores that are lying or corrupt or covering up or are just bad people. Same can be said for doctors, pilots, any career. And this is coming from the same person who was allegedly helping push a GoFundMe for the law enforcement officer, the bad law enforcement officer who took the life of George Floyd. But now when it comes to an investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, now she's going to go against the grain and not with it. But going against the grain is also going against his own personal friendship and business friendship with Kash Patel. I think they should be applauded and they should be awarded every respect for having not slept for almost 34 hours straight, having all of the FBI officers and the Utah law enforcement officers coming together to catch the person responsible and to bring them to justice, which they did. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Who do you call if there's an emergency? You call 911. You get central dispatch. What happens? Whether it be law enforcement or EMT, they respond. I would trust a law enforcement officer that I have never met before I would Candace Owens. I just genuinely have a lot more respect for law enforcement than that. Than to say they're all bad, they're all lying, they're all corrupt. Sure, there have been FBI agents, CIA agents in the past that have been bad or corrupt. That can be said for any religion, any faith. Going back thousands of years, there have been people in that particular faith or church that has been bad or corrupt. Is that the majority? Absolutely not. Does it reflect poorly on every Jewish person, every Muslim, every Christian or Catholic? Absolutely not. Not everything is a conspiracy theory. Occam's razor. Cut out all of the things that are just illogical, don't make sense, probably didn't happen. And your easiest, most logical, most simple answer is by probability the right one. Friend or not, Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens had an equal audience. They have equal amounts of viewers and subscribers on YouTube. And the fact is, when she looks at what happened to Charlie Kirk, it's very hard for her to probably digest and accept that that could have been her. It very easily could have been her. It could be her in the future. That must be a very harrowing reality, especially when you really do put out hate and content that drives further division and discourse and distrust. Charlie Kirk ran around on college campuses and took people that go to that local college that he is at under a tent saying, prove me wrong, under that guise. And he largely embarrassed, I'm just saying, whether I like him or not, it doesn't matter. This is what he did. He embarrassed a lot of people with, I'm smarter than you, I'm more knowledgeable than you, my opinions, thoughts are right, and I'm going to debunk every single one of your points. He went around on college campuses and embarrassed young people. He then records it in several different angles and puts it on the internet forever for everybody to see, to comment on, to laugh at. If you don't think Occam's razor is that Charlie Kirk had more domestic enemies than he does foreign ones, then Candace Owens is not being truthful at all with her audience. Because the truth is, look at how many people celebrated and were overjoyed when he passed away. That right there tells you how many domestic enemies he truly had. And what Candace Owens might not understand is that she too has people that domestically do not like her. But that's what happens when you go down a very dark, very demonic path of unfounded conspiracy theories and planting seeds of mistrust in all of your audience members. And you create a cult and a cult-like mentality. You start seeing things like Reddit forums about beekeeping as some secret ancient code for child abuses and trafficking. You say things like, I'm going to homeschool my children, pull all of your children out of school, don't get any of your kids vaccinated. Well, guess what? A lot of us are not worth $300 million with our spouse. You can sit there and say that you're going to homeschool all day long, but then you also say you have the money to hire teachers. That's not feasible or the reality for most Americans, and that is so out of touch with what most Americans go through and live with every single day. Also, the investigation into Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron. This is actually not Candace Owens' investigation. This belongs to a French man named Xavier Poussard. What she did was took his book, his hard work, his investigation. He translated it into English, and she slapped her name on it and says Candace Owens presents an investigation by Xavier Poussard, because she uses her mainstream media figurehead, her mainstream media audience, to then spread his investigation, his book, everything that he was alleging as far as Brigitte Macron really being Jean-Michel Trogneau, using the identity of her younger sister. I have the book. I've read it 3 times. I've been learning French for close to 3 years now as well. I have looked into the lawsuit against Xavier Poussard and her lawsuit here, where she also lies and says that not only does she stake her entire life, professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron really is Jean-Michel Trogneau. She also says that to Tucker Carlson that she does not want the investigation to be dismissed at all. At all. She wants it to go to trial because she wants to be able to prove 100% that she was correct. Not that she was correct, that Xavier Poussard is correct in his investigation that she used for content on her channel and brought to a bigger audience. She took somebody from a foreign country who doesn't speak English very well, took his investigation and helped spread it worldwide via YouTube channel. She says she doesn't want this $400+ million defamation lawsuit against her to be dropped because she wants to prove that she's correct, that Xavier Poussard is correct. But then what does she secretly and quietly do? She has her lawyers file a motion to dismiss. Not only are they claiming inappropriate venue in Delaware where all of her LLCs and her husband's LLCs and companies are registered at, but she's also trying to say that a foreign entity doesn't have the right to stifle an American's right to free speech. But free speech doesn't cover lies that amount to defamation, slander, libel, harassment, stalking, cyber stalking, harassment. None of that. It does cover the truth. So the one thing that got me the most is how much she is trying to say the federal agents they're covering up. They're covering up for the person who really took the life of Charlie Kirk, and that they're all bad, they're all corrupt. That Charlie was invited to Israel again by Bibi Netanyahu, that allegedly $150 million was offered to him to not change his views on Israel, which he didn't. He made that very well known that he did not ever change his views on Israel. The government of Israel and some of their choices in recent times may have been different. He may have had some disagreements. He also was allegedly praying the rosary and attending mass. His wife and his pastor have come out and said that that is absolutely not true. He went to Catholic churches all the time because he loved the architecture of the church. But he was very devout in his own faith, unlike some other people. Also, the fact that Candace Owens would have the audacity to tell that pastor to release everything he knows or sit down and basically shut up is disgusting. because he would have never said anything like that to her Catholic priest had this tragedy been hers.